actually back. You said you've been doing it since what? Island 8 since 2000.
Yeah.
How did you start?
Well, the story about
he was born better than we were.
No, how did you end up guiding?
Well, no, I started guiding when I was a kid, working on the charter boats on the Great Lakes because I was from upstate New York.
Which is a dangerous body of water.
Exactly. So I started at 12 years old. I started working as a first mate on a 30-foot charter boat at 12. And my uncle had a 30-foot boat, and
job.
It was a great summer job. I did it all summer. And then when I was 16, I bought my own boat. I saved up all my money, and my mom, the only thing she used to say was, she was so pissed because I was making really good money. I was guiding on the charter boats. I was doing 2 trips a day. I mean, you got to picture at 12 and 13, 14 years old, I was making $100 a day. Now, this was in the 70s. Okay, $100 a day. There was guys working in factories, dads, and that didn't make $100 a day. And I'd come home after a weekend or work 5-6 days. I'd have $500-$700 in my pocket as a 12-year-old in the 70s. And my mother was just shaking her head. She goes, "You don't even understand the value." I said, "No, I understand the value. You work hard, and you get up early, and you make money, and then you get to do what you want to do." And and anyway, I ended up buying a boat, my own. I bought my first drift boat at 16, going on the Salmon River. And then at 18, I got my captain's license. And at 19, I went to Alaska. And I showed up in Alaska. I didn't have shit. I had $300 and a dream and a credit card. And I drove to Alaska. I sent out 5 job applications, and I got 5 job offers.
I don't want to interrupt you. I mean, you're on a roll, but you drove to Alaska from where?
Upstate New York.
Son, I wish I'd have been born in the 70s.
At 19.
I want to drive to Alaska so bad. Like, just to say I've done it. I don't know anybody that's ever driven to Alaska.
I know one guy.
Well, I mean, I do now. The champ. But
did you carry your boat with you? Of course.
No, I didn't have a boat. Well, we didn't have a boat there. I went to work. I had to go up and work, do kind of an apprentice program, and so I knew I'd talked to a few lodges and talked to a few outfitters, and when they talk about fate or when things happen for a reason, when the good Lord's looking down at you. I always look at that and I'm like, things happen for a reason. And I have been very blessed from hard work, and someone has looked out for me, because in 1985, the year I decided to go to Alaska, was the first year that the state of Alaska and the Coast Guard made it mandatory that all fishing guides or hunting guides that ran a boat had to have a captain's license. So you got to picture this. All these old bushmen, half native guys, half bush guys running all over Alaska. None of them had captain's licenses.
Oh, I guarantee it.
I mean, I'm not saying they weren't good boatsmen, but they couldn't pass the test. Most of them couldn't pass a drug test or an alcohol test, because unfortunately they like to drink a little too much and party a little too much. So when I went up there, like every one of the lodges, to keep their insurance valid, the insurance companies basically said, well, half your guides have to have, half the crew's got to have a captain's license, because, we know you're going to cheat some. So they ended up hiring, captains. And, with having the experience that I had and a valid captain's license, and I could pass a UA, which was, for some of those guys up in Alaska as a bonus, because most of them can't. So, I was offered 5 job offers the first year. And, again, now it's 1985. And I think my first job, I worked at King Salmon Lodge for 2 years. They offered me $3,000 a month, plus room and board, plus tips. And this was in 85.
Pretty good.
So, I mean, at 19 years old, you go up there and work for 4 months. You make your tip money. You make, they're housing you, feeding you. If you don't piss it away, I didn't smoke. I didn't really drink. I mean, I'd have a couple beers once in a while or something, or have a drink with the clients or something. But, I mean, if you don't turn into a complete lush and piss off all your money, you can come home with a nice pocket of money. And then I went back the next year. When I came home, then I was running my drift boat on the Salmon River for steelhead and salmon. Did that all winter, and then went back up to Alaska. And anyway, in between all this, I got married to my starter wife, the first one, not my real wife, Miss Helen. I had a starter wife that didn't work out.
I had one of those.
Yeah, these things will happen.
I had 2 of them. I had a starter, then another starter. So,
and I tell
How many have you had?
I tell my wife all the time, if I could do as good from 2 to 3 as I did from 1 to 2, I'd put her on the road today. I mean, immensely has stepped up my game between 1 and 2.
Well, you got to learn. What do you? We all make some mistakes. You think you're not really sure if it's.
She made a bunch of them. I tell my kids at school all the time, I've only made one. I divorced her. I mean, I'm even with the house. But the thing about it is, man, all jokes aside, and
But things happen for a reason. We
It-
get
it
back to
does.
the reason, and that's what I say. You know what? When you get to that fork in the road, you have to make a decision, and sometimes they're hard. And but it happens. And so I got married at 19, got divorced at 21, and it was a sad day. But these things will happen, you know.
But you know what, though? I got to give a shout out to Miss Helen because she kept us fed well on our trip. We ate good. Every meal was fresh and warm. She took really good care of us.
Along that same line, like everybody wants to gripe about the money and this and that. Like I've never, we're not made of money. I'm a school teacher. I don't make in 2025 what you're just getting paid in the 80s. I mean, I wish somebody pay for my room and board and give me $3,000 a month. I don't know. It'd be like winning the lottery. But we had to sacrifice some things to go to Alaska. And again, it's a pretty expensive trip, but it's not it's not like life altering. And at the end of the day, you don't charge what it's worth. I mean, to go and see some of those things is unbelievable.
Well,
and
what was funny is when we did To Kill a King with Benelli and Tony Vandemore, after Tony came up and hunted with us, it was funny because the first day, that's another story about Benelli and the SB3. But anyway, we'll just go on this one first. So when Tony came up, he took me to the side, and I knew Tony. He was kind of a bigwig in the hunting industry and Habitat Flats and that. But anyway, he takes me to the side, away from all the cameras and all the crew and everything. And he says, "Hey, Charlie," he says, "I don't know shit about this sea duck hunting. Please don't make me look bad." And I said, "No problem, Tony. We got you covered." But anyway, it all goes back to this same story. Things happen for a reason. And, Helen has stuck by, and, she raised two beautiful daughters and her husband. She's keeps me out of trouble.
I don't know if she's got you raised yet.
Well, I can tell you, if it wasn't for her, I'd probably still be in jail.
Well,
So I did, when you start talking about shells, that is one of the big questions. Everybody always wants to know the shells and the shot size. Well, so anyway, for everybody out there that isn't familiar with the sea duck hunting and eider hunting and the big water and the big wind, anyway, the days of the steel shot works fine for small birds, low wind conditions, close decoying birds. But when it's 7 grams per cubic centimeter density versus like bismuth, which is 11, or then you go with the low grade tungsten, which is 12 or 13, and then when you go with the straight TSS, the tungsten, the super, the best TSS, which is 18 grams per cubic, density. I mean, there is a huge difference. And when I try to explain to people, they're like, "Oh, that stuff's so expensive. It's so expensive." Well, yeah, it is expensive, but if it takes you 14 rounds to shoot one bird with steel because the first one knocks it down, and then you got to chase it around and shoot cripples for 10 more rounds.
That's time.
Time. It's $1 a shot or whatever it is. $1.50 a shot. Nowadays, even just steel shots. It's just $25-$30 a box.
I'll tell you
minimum.
This, the last day that I was there, I liked one king. Well, no, I take it back. I liked 2 kings. And I killed the one with you that day. And the very last day, Skylar and Dara killed his. Me and Brian went out in the little dinghy. And Skylar said, "Hey, man, I've got some TSS left because I done shot all mine."
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to get that record. But anyway, went out.
And you done a good job.
I was close.
You're getting close.
Anyhow, I went out and they're, like I say, they're riding a roller coaster, whitewater rafting, shooting. They're 60, 70 yards. You got to lead them a length of 18-wheeler. Well, when I run out of, I killed my first one pretty quick. When I run out of TSS and had to go back to shooting just some regular steel shot that I bought, it took me probably a box of shells before I killed my last king.
There's a big.
Hard to kill them with just cheap steel shot.
Well, it just doesn't have the knockdown power.
Exactly.
It just does, and it doesn't. And unfortunately, you saw it. Every year we're getting the birds a little more tuned in. We're using bigger spreads. Even this year, we were using more decoy. We were getting more birds to decoy. Unfortunately, you can't make a bird decoy that doesn't want to be where it's going. We're basically just intercepting those birds.
A king eider 100%. I'm so glad you brought this up because a king otter has got to be kin to a wood duck. Got to be, because they know where they're going when they wake up, don't they? I mean, it's hard to make them
Yeah, they're
detour.
circumnavigating around the island. They're going out to the outside of the reef, or they're going right in the middle of the washing machine.
Narnia.
Real close.
Narnia,
Right
baby.
in the middle of Narnia. And the thing is, you know, like, Eddie, go ahead, Adrian.
Oh, well, our experience when I was out there, our first day, we had Captain Jack with us, and I was with my buddy.
Sparrow?
Never know. But I had my buddy Corey Hamlin,
Yep,
and
yep.
it was the one and only time we had an actual Drake King decoy in on our decoys. And my buddy Corey shot it and dropped it in his tracks. But it was like the only time the whole trip we seen the bird decoy. But it was pretty as it could be.
Well,
They had the
again,
same-
there's certain days, and part of it is that the way we hunt too is because we're kind of pressured, you know. And when those good days, we have to be where those birds are. We can't. It's not like we can just go out there and hang out and sit and
Gotta go to 'em.
you got to go in the shitty weather. But we did this year. We decoyed a lot of birds. The smaller boats, the Zodiacs, which you guys refer to dinghies, but now I'm going to put a little disclaimer on them. These are 16 and 17 foot Navy SEAL Zodiacs. So they're not just dinghies. They're actually heavy duty boats, the same ones the Coast Guard and the Navy SEALs use, and they are safe, even though everybody says they're dinghies. Now, there are some smaller ones that other people use that are a little bit too small, but
We'll post some pictures on the YouTube channel. I've got some
Look.
pictures of these.
but they are safe.
They're 100% safe.
And I'm going to
100%.
tell you a story about that. So we're out there years ago. That's all I had was inflatables. Okay, when I went out there, the first year we went out, I didn't have any boats because it was like an exploratory trip. The second year I went out there with one inflatable, and the story is I got a guy sitting in the front of the boat, and we're in those big swells, right? We're in like 10-foot swells, just rolling out there. A flock of kings is coming down the waves, and the guy pulls up and he's on the side and he's following the birds. So you can visualize this.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
looking down the barrel, he's following this flock of kings, and right then as the kings start going across the front of the boat starts lifting up and the kings go down, and he's still looking over the top of his barrel, and he center punches the front of the Zodiac right at the scene.
Oh, Lord.
Now these days they were shooting number 2 steel in the old days. He hit that thing dead center, number 2 steel, both compartments. I mean, punched a hole right through it, just like. And I'm telling you, I'm out there off in Narnia world by myself. There's nobody else out there. I'm the only guide. He punches dead or center punches this Zodiac, and the whole front and both compartments go. And I'm going to tell you what, you talk about your ass puckering up. I'm like, oh shit, we are so screwed now.
All I'm gonna say is, what's that sign?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you got balls this big. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Anyway, the both compartments on the front of that Zodiac, just, I mean, the description was just like, and I felt really small being about 2 miles out on the edge of the washing machine out there.
It's
And
time to call Steve
and-
Hoover at that point.
in a Zodiac, and the front end. So at that point, I turned around, and the hunter with me, he just went white because he thought we were done. But the good thing with those boats is they have 5 sealed compartments in them, and that's the reason we use them. So, and this is why I said a testament to him. He dead center punched the front one and punched the first 2 compartments. Both of them went completely flat. The whole thing went limp, folded right over like a taco, just dead limp. And we had to turn around, and it turned into like a scoop on a snow shovel, just plowing water. Water was just rolling in there. Finally, I had to put the thing in reverse and just back up. And I had to back all the way back into the harbor. Now,
No.
picture this. We got a hunter in there.
I'm trying not to.
Yeah, picture this. The Northwestern and the Time Bandit are tied up at the dock unloading crab.
And here you come in reverse.
I'm coming up in the harbor of St. Paul.
That's us.
I'm
That's us.
coming in the harbor of St. Paul, the most dangerous harbor in the world, with a little 15, 16 foot Zodiac
That's half deflated.
that's half deflated. And I'm like, and I mean, I still remember this day. That's how I met Justin, from the Time Bandit, and he looked down and he slid his window open of the Time Bandit, because I mean we have to go right by him, and he says, "You okay there?" I said, "Yeah, no, it's all good. We're nothing here to see, you know." And I'm just like, you talk about feeling like an idiot. But anyway, we got back to the dock. We regrouped and we had a little talk about some things and realized what you don't do. And, you know, and
Of course, now though you carry a big boat per
yeah,
small boat. Out.
right. And now we've got the 2 big boats plus the 3 small boats. But that was a learning lesson that, you know, like you said, that you never have guys sitting in the back shooting forward. You have a guy all the way in the front so that he can't, because that's what happened to me is I had a guy that slid in the back and he was shooting and I only had one guy, and as the boat lifted up and he's following those birds,
He stayed on it.
he stayed right on him, and right when them birds met the front of the boat and he pulled the trigger and the boat lifted up and he just center punched
There
it.
was a guy from Ohio, and me and Brian and Ryan in the boat when I killed my first king, and I'm in the front, and Ryan's in the back. And Ryan had shot the first shot, and Ryan's a good shot. I mean, he's an experienced waterfowl hunter. And he shot, and he missed it behind the bird, but we were going kind of down into a swale. And when he goes down into the swale, he's like I'm in the front, so I'm coming up and I'm shooting kind of down on it, but the bird is like here, and then he shoots again, and he shot the water because the wave come up and the bird just kind of disappeared.
Oh, he kills so much.
And
so
then
many
when
waves.
it comes up, you know, I'm shooting down on it, and I'm 20 foot above this bird. I mean, literally in like no exaggeration, I'm 20 foot shooting down on it. So I shoot and I'm behind it, and I pulled out in front of it, just hoping a prayer, boom, and shot it, and it's probably 60 yards at that time. Like, no way I hit that bird again, but
I'm sorry, I'm watching all the geese behind you.
Yeah.
my wife would love it if y'all would shoot those things. They come up and crap on the dang seawall.
Want
And
shotgun?
well, if it was season, I'd let you go out there and cut them down. You'd make my wife really happy if you'd go ahead and kill them. My son wants to shoot them every morning, and I won't let him, but I'd probably let you do it.
But you know, the thing is, for the folks that haven't been on this hunt, you got to understand, when you hunt out of these Zodiacs, you are not standing up.
No.
You're on your knees or you're sitting down. So trying to get your footing is one. Even in the bigger boats, it's hard to stand and shoot. So, I mean, we can preach all day long and talk about the wind, the waves, but even trying to just shoot from a kneeling position, I mean, all of it was new to me, and it takes some getting used to.
Oh, 100%. Even shooting it on the bank. Like, once you shoot the bird, the retrieval part of it is, I mean, it's not over until you got that bird in hand. Like,
Seeing seals and sea lions, and I mean, all that's
and the
new
salt
experience for
water
me.
and the wind. I mean, we're talking 60-mile-an-hour winds at times. I mean, you're at hunting camp when you go out there.
Experience of a lifetime.
I mean, it is truly amazing.
But again, we don't want to scare everybody because that's
No.
honestly, because what happens is I have guys call me and they're like, "Oh, I don't. It's so scary out there and it's dangerous and everybody's gonna die." And I'm like, "Listen, we've been out there since 2001. We have a 100% safety record. There are some stories that get embellished a little bit. Do we have big waves? Yes. Do we have big ocean swells? Yes. Do we hunt in giant waves? Yes. But
You
the
will
difference
stay
is
at camp too. We gotta do
right,
it.
but you know we do. Like I said, it's just you know, some people and we've actually this year later in the season we actually started hunting more backing off a little bit in some of the bays a little bit, trying to get more decoying birds, and we actually did. You know, so we're like I said, it's evolving situation. It's hard to break old habits when you kill birds consistently sitting out there right at the edge of the washing machine in those big waves because they're migrating through there. But you know, like I said, it's not every day. I mean, we had some really good weather this year too. I mean, if anybody followed us on Facebook and Instagram, I mean, we had a lot of really nice days. We had some calm days. I mean, that week you were there, it was a shitty week. We had a lot of wind.
It was rough.
That was a tough.
I had a
week.
blast, though.
There, too.
Yeah. So just you guys both, you know, you always get one or two shitty weeks, but then I have other guys that come out and go out the first couple days and it's like dead calm. They're like, "Oh, what's all this bullshit about it being rough out?" It's just, you know, it's just the way it works.
Don't you have 100% success on kill too?
Yeah. Yeah.
But you know what I enjoyed? I enjoyed the group that came in. So there was other folks with us other than just our group, but we're all like-minded. So, you know, we kind of knew we were getting into. We all wanted to hunt a king, so we all got along. And even the folks I hunted with, we're still keeping in contact now.
And we do the same thing, you know. And you know, like you,
We didn't hunt together, but we have a shared experience. You know?
Absolutely.
Brotherhood.
That's it.
Absolutely. And you know, going back to the hunt that me and Ryan raffled off on social media, we give away a all-inclusive duck hunt, but we also done a dove hunt. And a guy that won the dove hunt was a guy named Mark Shatley from Arkansas, and I didn't know Mark from Adam's House Cat. And Mark actually goes to church with Daryl Moore from Hunt 247. And then you said Renard Moody.
Yeah, I know Renard and Aubrey.
And, it's crazy how.
You can meet somebody so far away.
Exactly. And, like, I feel like you could have been born and raised in Center. I mean.
We met at the Sika store in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Literally just.
And you was fixing to leave going to see Charlie like in 2 weeks, wasn't you?
Yeah, within a week or two.
It is a small world. I mean, we've been very fortunate and blessed. We have, clients and friends up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the South, from Europe, from France, from South America. I mean, we've been very blessed with the people, and we've got a lot of great contacts and a lot of loyal people. And that's the other thing that in the whole industry that I would hope, if you don't get anything else out of this, as some young guys listening to this podcast, that don't be a hypocrite. And there's just so much of it in the industry now, and the holier than thou and the better than thou, and some of these guys, I just give some of the younger guys a chance, take them hunting, spend time with them, and share your experiences with them. And I like I said, we do a lot of stuff every year with I don't know if you guys ever saw with Officer Eric Matson that we did the Hometown Heroes.
We were leaving when he got there.
Right.
100%. He was on the airplane. Like that group had just landed,
and we got on their plane to leave.
And we got on the plane to leave.
Yeah. So I mean, we've done a lot of really nice stuff with the Hometown Heroes, Fallen Outdoors, different disabled vets, underprivileged people, different things, and like you said, we just that's what I can't encourage everybody in the industry and the community enough to take somebody hunting that might not have the opportunity, give back a little bit more, and share some of the knowledge, and like I said, my door's always open. I'm more than glad to help people and do what we can do, and we all have limitations. You can't give everything away for all the time because you still got to pay the bills, and you still got to eat, and gas is expensive, and food's expensive, and the insurances and lodges and leases, but on the same token, it's that's the great thing about this community that I've been blessed to find so many nice people. Like you said, nice enough where I'll just jump and drive 7 hours down here to see you guys and hang out for the day.
Well, I mean, we've hunted with some amazing people, and this podcast has really opened some doors, for us. But the enjoyment that I get out of it is getting to hang out and share experiences like this with people who hadn't done it, or maybe on the fence about doing it, or just new to the waterfowl industry, if you will. And I don't have a problem giving you any pins or locations or advice or whatever. I mean, I don't know how successful we are in the grand scheme of things, but just getting to sit down with guys like you, or talk to Daryl Moore from Hunt 247, or guys at Mossy Pond, or guys at Shots Ammo, or picking up the phone and asking advice from guys like Steve Hoover. We were going out to Washington State, and I called Steve Hoover because Brett Weingartner is out on Washington State, and he's with Columbia Coast. He runs Columbia Coast Outfitters or whatever, and he runs the Duckwater boat. And Hoover put us in touch with him, and he was out there hunting a group from Cedar Bluff, which is the next town over. I mean, I can see the lights of the Cedar Bluff Stadium, like literally right there. And Charlie doesn't know me anything. You don't know me anything, but it's been my experience, if you will. Me and him, we don't meet much of too many strangers, and everybody in the waterfowl industry is. It's like brothers. It's like a football team, if you will, or like a fraternity. I mean, everybody's just, for the most part, I hate to say everybody because there's always a certain few, but for the most part, the guys that we've come across are just jam up guys. I mean, and we just like to have a good time, and being out there. You mentioned the people y'all hunted with. I mean, it's awesome.
I mean, and there's nothing like waterfowl hunting for me, but For now, I kind of slowed down a little bit because it's about taking my son out more. And the thing, taking the younger generation is out so they can learn from us and that they could actually improve or do more than what we have ever done before. He's 12 years old and he's already getting started on his 41. I mean, I had to wait till I was in my late 30s and on my own working and family life before I could start, but here he is doing it now. And, it's young folks like him hanging around all of us older folks, and he gets to learn more. And, he's doing well at it, and he's going to make one hell of a waterfowler one day.
One of our guys that normally steps in and co-hosts this podcast, Renzel Adams, him and Jack Peavy and another buddy, Colin, went with me to the West Coast this year, and they're itching to come and hunt with you either in Coal Bay or Island X. And
well, don't let them pass it up because we did. I'll tell you, it's kind of crazy. But after all this COVID stuff, we're still getting residuals. That we had people, a lot of our trips were booked 2 to 3 years ahead.
Right.
And this COVID thing kind of rolled things back, and we finally have got caught up and took care of everybody. But we've had some clients and some groups, corporate groups too, that there's been some corporate restructuring in the world right now, as you know,
right.
the industry and the world, the economy's been up and down, and between the corporate restructuring, some of the government jobs, and then some people just with their health, because a lot of people wait till they're old to book this trip because that's when they think they can do it or they're comfortable, but then you can't really enjoy it when you get that old.
Absolutely.
And then, so what I was getting at is we've had some corporate groups that have canceled or changed things, or grandpa who was paying for the trip passed away and died. So if anybody is interested or seriously thinking about a trip to Alaska, don't put it off and just think, oh, well, Charlie's booked 2 years out. At least give me a call. Check out the website, seaduckhuntingguides.com, and give us a call on our 800 number, 877-359. Yeah. Anyway, look it up. SeaDuckHuntingGuides.com.
He's on YouTube.
And now we know why Miss Helen's so important. Don't even know his own phone number, son. But
No.
we consider ourselves avid waterfowl hunters, and obviously we're not on your level or so many other guys' level. I mean, we're
But I'm only. This is the thing is, that's the funniest thing is that I only know one thing really good. And I'm being honest with you. I'm man enough to admit it. If you took me to the cornfields or the timber of Arkansas or mossy oak swamps or bluebill hunting out here, I would be scared because I don't know shit about it because I wasn't raised in the duck hunting world. I wasn't. And that's what I was getting back to about the guiding versus hunting. I didn't hunt when I was a kid. My dad, we didn't hunt. We had no guns. My dad didn't believe in guns. He'd seen enough death with guns when he was younger for things, and he was an undertaker, so he was around death, and I was around death all the time, and he'd just seen some really tragic accidents and things with guns. So anyway, the moral of the story was that was kind of the difference of guiding versus hunting and fishing, and that's why I have a different outlook on it, because I wasn't a hunter, I was a guide. I started as a guide, I mean, like as a profession, right. Where you started as a hunter, right? You started and you're just fighting your way through.
Well, I started as an idiot, and now I can a Turon, and now we're hunters. But you mentioned guns, and I just
the safety aspect.
This is our podcast, so I want to kind of take a chance to give you my stance on this. And if you're not a hunter, that's great, and if you are, that's great also. But idiots kill people, guns don't, and it's unfortunate that we live in a society where there's gun violence or crime or the need for police, but unfortunately we do, and I still think America's the greatest place on earth, and
God bless.
I raised my kids here. I love it here, and I like the people here. You don't have to worry about where I stand. I'm going to shoot you straight, and I'm going to tell you the truth. And if I'm telling you the truth, I try to hang out with people that I like, not people that look like me. And we try to treat people with respect. And as long as you're doing that, then I think you're ahead of what mainstream media leads you to believe that's going on in America. But there's so many different people from so many different backgrounds, and we're not a hunting podcast. per se. We talk about it because, that's kind of in our DNA. But, we like to talk quack and smack with whoever will listen. And along those same lines, I mean, you offer trips that, you don't have to be a hunter. You can, National Geographic doing something with you?
Yeah, National Geographic came out last year and came out to our camp at Volcano Bay doing the bears and the wildlife photography stuff.
Please keep your voice down. My wife's going to want to go.
Oh gosh.
But
anyway, I can't believe you haven't seen the last 2 years we were filming Life on the Edge.
What do you mean hadn't seen it? I got it named TiVo.
Well, it's crazy because now it's on Amazon Prime and Hulu. So anybody that didn't get to watch it on the Outdoor Channel, you can go back and watch Life on the Edge. And season 2 is really good. It showed us we doing a bunch of hunting down there in Coal Bay and showing the bears and showing the fishing. But getting back to what you were talking about, I want to share one story about gun safety because I think that this really means a lot and it might save somebody's life one day. So I was a big game guide up in Alaska also for 20 some years. And when I was like 24 years old, we were on a caribou hunt. And I didn't have a lot of hunting experience at the time, but the master guide that I did my apprenticeship under, Chris Branham, the first thing that he told me it was important was about walking with a loaded gun. Never when you're walking. Now again, all my hunting experience came from Alaska, and when you're walking in the tundra, the ground's uneven. And you're hunting, even whether you're hunting bear, caribou, moose, whatever, deer, walking in the woods, walking to the duck blind, walking in the boat. You guys remember how we always put the shells in the chamber sideways? We flagged them. Well, one of the reasons we did that was we were on a caribou hunt a long time ago, way up in the Mulchatna herd, and I had 2 Mexican doctors with me, and I had myself and another assistant guide, Zach Babbitt, rest in peace. He's passed now. But we were out caribou hunting, and we shot a real nice caribou. And as we were walking back to camp, we all got packs with bloody caribou meat. And there happened to be a grizzly bear that crossed our trail. And you got blood dripping out of your pack. Anyway, this 7-foot grizzly starts following us and kind of creeping up. Well, I'm in the front of the lead. I'm leading the group. Then we got the 2 doctors, and then Zach was in the back. Well, anyway, we have a hardcore rule that when you're walking with a gun, you never walk with a shell in the chamber, period. You can have them in the magazine, but you 100% check your chamber to make sure that gun has not got an active shell in the chamber under any circumstances, because there's no need for it. It's nothing in Alaska is going to jump out and eat you or kill you in the 2 seconds that it takes to put one in the chamber. But anyway, so we're walking. This hunter, he maybe there was a little miscommunication with his English because he didn't speak perfect English, being a Spanish fella. But anyway, he got nervous because this bear was side hilling us at like 80 yards. Grizzly bear was walking sideways, smelling the blood.
I'd have been real nervous.
Well, right, but anyway, so he got nervous. I didn't notice, but he had racked around in his gun. Okay. So we're walking, we get back to camp. Now the bear, we shooed the bear off. It left. Anyway, we get back to camp. I've got a big heavy pack on. Zach's got a heavy pack on. The hunters got their packs, carrying the guns. And we go to sit down, and the one hunter said something to him in Spanish. I understand a little bit of Spanish, but he basically said, hey, I'll take your gun and put it in the tent and whatever. The other guy came over. I started cooking. I'm taking the backpacks off. We're ripping some back straps out, putting them on the grill. And all of a sudden, I'm standing there literally cooking on a Coleman stove. I've got Lipton Alfredo. It's like you'll never forget this day. I've got Lipton Alfredo noodles cooking in a pan, caribou back straps. I'm putting some salt and pepper in the white noodles. And all of a sudden, you hear a 300 mag go off.
Oh, my goodness.
12 yards from us. The crack of a high-powered rifle. And I'm sitting there cooking. The guy's sitting right next to me, the other doctor. And it hit him square in the femur.
Lucky you didn't kill him.
Well, yeah, right. So I'm sitting there. We're laughing. We're joking, having a good time, cooking my Alfredo noodles. 1 minute. The next minute, I'm wiping off femur and bone fragments and blood off the side of my face, and then the Alfredo noodles. He ends up falling to the ground, which thank goodness that I'd had paramedic training and medical training. And so instantly I knew I had to, get a tourniquet, like a hard tourniquet, because, when you hit that bone. Anyway, to make a long story short, we kept the guy alive, got a medevac flight in. he lost his leg, but I mean, because it blew his leg off. But I kept him alive, for like 16 hours till he got to the hospital. Anyway, the moral of the story is it's, that gun had no business killing that guy, but it boiled down to because his buddy put a shell in the chamber. He took it to the tent, was screwing around, cleaning it, doing whatever. Didn't even know, and it was his buddy's gun. I mean, his own gun shot him that he took and blew his leg off. And so anyway, if that story helps anybody, that guns have no conscience. And it's like you said, guns aren't killing people. It's people doing stupid things with them. So please, when you're loading in your boats, loading in your trucks, walking in the tundra, walking into your deer stand, walking into your turkey stand, do not clear clear your gun. Make sure there is not a shell until you're actively ready to pull the trigger and you're on target. That's all I can say, because I don't, maybe it'll save one person's life.
Well, all the grown-ups have kind of hogged up the microphones, but you come in with a pretty good drop in there for a second, or there a second ago. So I want to ask you, like, what is your favorite hunt that you've been on so far? Like, what if you could nail down just one hunt? Like, what is your favorite hunt that you've been on?
I wasn't shooting yet, but it's probably Texas.
Texas?
Yes, sir.
What, you remember what part of Texas you went to?
We was around Eagles Lake.
Okay, where is that? Texas is a big old place.
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. Eagle Lake is more eastern part of Texas.
Okay.
I think we went to Corpus Christi first, hunted public land, but we went 3 hours north to Eagles Lake where we hunted sandhill cranes, pintails.
Corpus Christi is down around the Gulf of America.
That's right, Gulf of America now.
Gulf of America, baby.
More Gulf of Mexico.
Red, white, and blue. But that's on my bucket list. Kind of like looking at it on TV and on YouTube. Corpus Christi is kind of like kind of gives me the Venice, Louisiana vibe. Kind of just the way the water is and there's no way it can be as dangerous as Venice.
Yeah, the Gulf is a Gulf, and it's a fun place to go, but you do got to be careful. Venice is on a league of its own. Them Cajuns, y'all some wild folks, but I love y'all.
Look, I love, yeah. But
yeah, so when you're talking about you guys doing the doing it yourself and traveling around the country and doing all this cool stuff. I mean, that's the one thing a lot of people don't realize is that we offer a DIY self-guided hunt down in Coal Bay. So anybody, I didn't know if you knew.
We may be too much Turon for that. I don't know that I want to. One, I don't know that I'm man enough to drive from Northeast Alabama to dadgum Coal Bay,
you
Alaska.
Don't have to drive up. I'm just saying you can come up, stay at the lodge. We give you decoys, give you a vehicle, kind of point you in the right direction. We usually throw in one guide a day of brant hunting, goose hunting. That's not the sea duck stuff. We don't do DIY sea duck stuff. That's just brant, geese, puddle stuff.
That could get expensive.
I don't want anybody getting hurt too bad. You can only hurt yourself so bad walking into the tundra and setting up some.
Oh, you'd be surprised.
No, look, like I'm telling you, Ryan Law could tear up an anvil with a paper towel. Like, I mean, he's just, like, if it can go wrong, it's going to go wrong with us. But again, between Coal Bay and Island X and everywhere else that we've been, Africa or whatever, the coolest part about the 41 was going to Island X. Like, just to say you've been there and done it, and realistically, how many people get to see Alaska?
You're in the 1%er club.
Well,
it's
Cherokee County. Well, after we come back, I know two people other than me that lives in this town that's been. That's me, Skylar, and Brian. Mm-hmm. Nobody else.
In Middle Georgia, where I'm from, it's only the group I went with. We're the only ones around. And, it's a good feeling. I mean, it took 4 years to save up and make that trip, and it was worth every penny.
But that's what I want to encourage is that you guys and other people that are listening out there, don't think that the trip's you can't do it. You just gotta, you gotta prioritize yourself. You book the trips a year or two out. You make, a deposit. You pay a little bit more the next year. And on this Coal Bay stuff, I mean, I'm telling you, anybody that just wants to come up and is a decent, an average hunter, not just an average hunter. If you know anything about hunting at all, you can come up to Coal Bay And for $3,000, you get your lodging, your meals, the decoys, vehicles, everything. And you go out and hunt, shoot banded brant. You can shoot lesser Canadas. You can shoot puddle ducks. You can shoot ptarmigan. You can catch a few salmon. So that's a heck of a deal for a week in Alaska for $3,000.
You can't go to the beach by yourself for $3,000.
Right, and that's what I say.
Not eat the food that you're going to eat, and Alaska in itself. I mean, we're not talking about Northeast Alabama, and I love Northeast Alabama. I mean, I'm an Alabama native, and we've been everywhere, but Alaska is it's the last frontier. I mean,
where can you go sit? Put your brant spread and some Canada geese on a beach and have a 9-foot brown bear walk through your stuff.
I'm out. I'm gonna be that guy you're talking about with a loaded gun. But realistically, I mean, just getting to see that kind of stuff. I mean, it is. I mean, I would love to do that. Like, we see bears at the Smokies, in Gatlinburg, but I mean, it's just. Everything's bigger in Alaska.
Well, at Island X, the history itself.
Absolutely.
Seeing what the natives going through with the seals, the fur trade. I mean, that's amazing.
A population of 500 people on Island X.
Yeah, it's down probably 350 now. They're unfortunately with the economy and the crab fishing being shut down.
And it's sad that it's really sad to see. Something like that, dying off as far as the tribal people, because everybody that we met at the store or the post office or just in town there, I guess you'd call it a town. They were just as nice as they could be to us.
The local people on St. Paul Island are very sincere, really good people, hardworking people. They just, like you said, with the economy the way it is right now, and with them shutting down the crab fishing, things are going to be a little tough out there. But anyway, our prayers are out for all of our friends out there and the crab fleets in Alaska and the commercial fishermen.
Surely it'll open back up at some point.
I'm hoping it's going to open back up and. But anyway, until then, we're just.
The museum, you talk about the experience. I mean, we can't not talk about the museum and all the artifacts and in there with the fur trade and everything else. I mean, it's just, it's something that I would, definitely, like you said, have to prioritize and have to save for and this and that. But I would love to be able to take my son, and do that at some point in time. It'd be a great senior trip. And I mean, it's just one of those things you'll never, ever regret or forget. I mean, I'll always remember those days we spent, freezing and riding waves and killing those birds in Island X. And, to do it with my best friend, I named my son after Ryan, so he may have a long road to hoe, so, but to do it with your childhood friend, in a place like that is just unbelievable. And we were actually able to share a room, and
yes, a very cozy
night. I slept great. He complains about my snoring. I'm not real sure that that's an actual thing, but
I don't snore either. So
I mean, him and my wife, they complain about my sleeping habits, but it is what it is. But again, thank you guys for coming over. You at least made us laugh, and I know that you've been to Texas hunting, so we want you to come over and meet Ryan Ray and let y'all get acquainted before you come
and if you ever get any time off in the summer, you've got an invitation from Captain Charlie to come up and hang out at the lodge and do a little hunting and fishing with me on me. So I appreciate you.
Only if Uncle Schuyler goes. You need a chaperone. So, I mean,
no, his daddy got to go. I was waiting for him to add in, like, hey, Daddy, you're welcome too. Daddy got to pay.
Yeah.
It'll be 4 years, son.
Hey, but you are welcome to come.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, you can come for free. Dad and Uncle Schuyler and Uncle Ryan's got to pay, but it'd be money well spent. But again, thank you so much for riding over. I know it wasn't easy, and again, y'all had to sacrifice to be over here. But having guys in the waterfowl community like y'all is just, it means the world to us, and hopefully everybody got some laughs out of it and learned something, and we'll look you up on social media, and we'll try to put a link in the TC Duck Club podcast, and again, if you hadn't already heard about Aleutian Island waterfowl and Cold Bay and Captain Charlie and Miss Helen, I would extremely recommend you doing it. It's a once in a lifetime trip that I'm going to do again if my wife will let me, and it's worth every penny. And I can't tell you how honored we are, not just me and Ryan and TC Duck Club, but these guys think the world of you too, and we talk about it quite a bit on the phone. And thank you so much for what you do for the waterfowl community and what you've done for us, and we can't wait to hunt with you again.
Well, thank you, man. Thank you so much, Adrian. Again,
Yes, sir.
great meeting you.
Thank you.
And thank you, man.
Yeah,
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But that'll just about do it for another episode of Talking Quack and Smack with TC Duck Club. So make sure you check us out on Tuesday nights at 5 p.m. That's Alabama time. And since I'm an Auburn fan, I'm going to start saying it's Auburn time. But check in with us on Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. We're now on Spotify. And y'all stay with us because we're going to keep killing them.
Okay.